Okay, so Catelyn III in a storm of swords. Well, and you know what? When the very first lexical word in a chapter is corpses, you know it's going to be a cheerful one. So let's get into it and let the cheer wash all over us and make our day. And George R. R. Martin withholds the information as to whose corpses they are. So we're invested, even though we don't even know whether we're reading about friends or foes. As for the circumstances, I mean, we're not even on the battlefield. So what could possibly have happened? Corpses. Last we saw Catelyn, in fact. She was in Riverrun, meeting her new in-laws. Hello, how do you do? Lovely to meet you, etc., etc. While internally thinking, internally, because I've never met anyone who could think externally. So she was thinking, dear gods, Rob, you have doomed us all. You've gone and married the wrong gal. I mean, really. You had one job to do. Okay, no, I'm not being fair right now. Rob had a lot of jobs to do. And frankly, Catelyn is really in no position to lecture Rob, which to her credit, she didn't. What with her freeing a valuable hostage, such as Jaime Lannister. I mean, arguably, it's the action of these two characters here combined that caused more harm to the Northern cause than whatever Edmure might have done. I'm saying this because in the previous chapter, Catelyn POV chapter, Edmure was the only character being scolded. But there you go. In fact, Stephen Sasse did write a great essay in defense of Edmure Tully, by the way. I know that he has recently softened his position on the matter, but it's still a great essay. I recommend it. It's titled Two Characters Unworthy of Praise. You can find it there in the Tower of the Hand website. So anyway, where was I? Corpses. All right, yeah. No, seriously, this is tragic. Let's gloss over the gruesome details. We're told that they're boys and they've been laid beneath the days. We are in Riverrun's great hall. Grey wind is howling outside because he smells blood, you see. And it keeps raining. You might remember, dear listener, that it had just started to rain in the latest Jaime's POV chapter, which takes place not too far from here, geographically. So chances are the action we're looking at right now is shortly after the end of that chapter, I guess. All captains and bannermen are there. No one is saying a word. And this is where we learn the dead boys' names. Tyon. I'm going to go with Tyon and Willem. Two names that incidentally had been mentioned literally in the previous chapter, Tyrion III, by Kevin Lannister as potential candidates to marry Sansa, until the choice fell on Tyrion. So yeah, these are Lannister kids, squires that had been captured in battle. In fact, Willem was Kevin's second son, Lancel's brother, while Tyon was Jenna Lannister's son, whom she had from her husband Aemon Frey. We won't encounter these two characters, Jenna and Aemon, until Feast for Crows. I thought I'd put that information out there. Anyway, shortly enough, we find out just how and why they were killed. Turns out it was Rickard Skarstark, who led a party of 8, of which only 5 remain, because 3 have been killed in the attempt. Because the guy was mad for revenge. Because you remember, just in the previous Catelyn POV chapter, Rickard had said precisely that to Catelyn. You, lady, have... I have one son who once had 3. You, lady, have robbed me of my vengeance. Referring to Catelyn having released Jaime. Remember that? And now he has exacted that vengeance he was screaming about, directly disobeying Rob's orders. Because Jamie's a valuable prisoner, could be used as a bargaining chip, and yet having lost him, any other highborn prisoner of war was not equally, but also valuable. Let's say not to the same degree, but yeah. So yeah, no, you don't kill your POVs. Not to mention it being against the Geneva Convention. So this party of 8 went into the cell where those 2 prisoners of war were kept, killing 2 guards in the process, Elwood and Jake. And I don't remember. I seem to remember one of those 2 guards' name was Elwood, and they did the terrible deed. So yeah, wall-to-wall treason, I tell you. So now this party of 5 is taken to the hall, all bound by their wrists. So naturally, we are treated to a bit of garment porn, as I like to call it. Male hauberks or shirts of sewn rings, with heavy boots and thick cloaks, some of wool and some of fur. Do you know, a lot of fuss is made over Martin's food porn, as it's called, whenever he indulges in long meal descriptions, ingredients, dishes, which I personally love. But hardly anyone points out just how much garment porn can also be found in these pages. Anyway, so there's an interesting parallel here, because in the previous Catelyn chapter, this I don't think I'll be able to pronounce it properly throughout this entire commentary. This Karstark dude in the previous chapter, Catelyn chapter, pushes people aside to get in the middle of the scene, so to speak. Yeah, here's a quote from the previous Catelyn. On his way in, Lord Rickard Karstark pushed the Great John like some grim spectre with his black mail and long ragged grey beard. Why do you put these words in, in a chain sequence? Georgie boy, you make it so difficult to read out loud. And on his way out, in the same previous Catelyn chapter, he shouldered between the Great John and Mage Mormont and left the hall. See, it's kind of like a dance. But in this chapter, it's the other people who move aside to let him pass. As the Great John, here's the quote from this very chapter. As the Great John marched his prisoners through the doors, Catelyn made note of how some other men stepped back to give them room, as if treason could somehow be passed by a touch, a glance, a cough. I don't know, this parallel feels deliberate to me. What do you think? So because Jaime Lannister killed 2 of Rickard's sons in battle, which was a very rude thing to say to do, but it was still, it was in combat. Rickard's idea of revenge was to whack 2 of Jaime's cousins in their cells, teenage kids, incidentally, in their cells where they were being kept in captivity, having surrendered. And you can see that, it's not the most solid argument one could make to defend Karstark's actions, right? And not content with that, he tries to shift a bit of the blame on Catelyn for what he did. She says, he points at Catelyn. Yes, she is just as guilty as I am, because she deprived me of my vengeance by freeing Jaime. Yeah, he keeps saying that, thereby admitting that he was entertaining the idea of stealing into Jaime's cell and murder him as well, which also would have been just as a treasonous. Is that the word? No, mate. Sorry. If I were you, Rickard, I would just throw myself at the mercy of the court, because your case ain't as solid as you think. Do you know? But then he just keeps up in the ante. Well, first he keeps on clutching at straws. You're supposed to slay your enemies in battle. Yeah, you are not in battle, mate. He goes, didn't your father teach you that, boy? As if Eddard would ever have condoned whacking unarmed prisoners. Nah, mate. Just stop talking. Dude, you're just making it worse. Meanwhile, the Great John just focuses on the most petty aspect of the speech. How dare you call him boy? He's the king in the north. This is his favorite catchphrase. And he punches him right in the face. There. Anyway, at this point it becomes clear that Rickard Karstark just wants to buy himself a quick death. Because he just won't shut the hell up. All right, forgive me then, like you forgave your mother. Isn't that your policy? King who lost the north. See, he just wants to be whacked, mob style, as ASAP. At which point, Brynden Tully enters the hall with grievous news. He says, "I have bad news." Okay. So Robb just issues the order to hang every single person who was involved in the, what's the word, prisonericide, captivicide of the two boys, and hang everyone who was involved, including those who died in the attempt. Yeah. Just hang them all. Except for Rickard Karstark, the ringleader, who will be dealt with later. But there's this one guy, one of those guys who's just been ordered to be hanged. No, what about me? I didn't do nothing. I don't reckon I deserve to die. I don't know why it came out like that. I was just a lookout, you know. I just all I did was I watched. Oh, is that right? Yeah. Yes, sir. All I did was... Okay, I'll stop that. So all you did was watch? Yeah. Good. We'll hang you last, so you can watch the others die. Which is so ruthless, isn't it? But hey, it's got to be done, isn't it? So Robb, Catelyn, Brynden and Edmure retire to the audience chamber to hear the news from the Blackfish, while the storm is still raging outside. Storm of swords. Roll credits. No, but really, this is where they find out that all the Karstark men have already left the camp, see? And they're on their march through the Riverlands looking for Jaime. Has anyone seen this guy? Yeah. Or anyone who might have news thereof. Not to mention that Lord Karstark has sworn to give the hand of his maiden daughter to any man who brings him the head of a kingslayer. We'll encounter this daughter of Rickard's in a Dance with Dragons, but for now let's recap. Okay, the whole thing, the Karstark men left overnight, or maybe just I don't know. They've already left. Let's just leave it at that. So the whole thing must have been premeditated. I mean, the picture is clear now. Rickard expected to be caught. He would have left. Otherwise, he would have left with the others. His men left the previous night discreetly, gradually. I don't know. We don't know exactly, one by one, not all at once. So yeah, the whole thing was planned in advance. Okay, so what's to be done? Let's, all right, people. Let's brainstorm some ideas, all right? That's Robb, yeah? You got some ideas, spitballed. Edmure is all like, yeah, do you know what? Better keep quiet to Lannisters and Freys about these poor kids, because, they won't like that. Brynden goes, no, mate, no, listen, the truth is out. The Karstarks have fled, so it's a bit late for keeping it quiet, you know. By now, the whole thing will have gone viral. So what do we do? We execute Rickard. If we do that, we execute Rickard. We add the Karstarks to the list of our enemies. So what do? Do we pardon him? We keep him in jail? Use him as a deterrent, against any Karstark define us. All right, yeah, just goes, Rob just goes, all right, everybody back off. Okay, gotta take a step back, all right? Examine the sitch, you know what I mean? Examine the situation. We got silence from the phrase, silence from the north. Sir Roderick, we don't know what's going on up there in Winterfell. Has he repelled Theon? Has he kicked his ass? Or has he been captured, killed? You see, they're clueless. And what about Lysa Tully Arryn? Is she ever going to respond to our letters? Is she on our side or what? And Rob is really trying to look like he's in control, but he's kind of desperate right now. Cat realizes that as her son, he needs comfort. You know, it's kind of like shaking inside. You can tell. As a mother, I can always tell. She keeps saying to herself. But as her king, he needs to be told the truth. Yeah, mate, forget about Lysa. Because no one knows what's going on in that head of hers right now. She's locked up in the Eyrie. No one's going to drag her out of there. Yeah, we know what awaits her. We know that from that previous Tyrion chapter. But no, let's focus on the here and now. So Rob goes, okay, all right. So, but what if, she's your sister, Mum. What if we just ask her to open the bloody gate to let us pass and maybe give us a few ships, so we can sail from Gulltown to White Harbor and reach Moat Cailin from there. See, at least, because they at least want to recapture that from the Ironborn. Yeah, so many bad consequences of bad decisions that were taken way back. The Ironborn being indirectly a consequence of Rob dispatching Theon to Pike, Anyway, yeah, no, so Catelyn goes, no, forget about that too. Yeah, this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. At which point, Rob gives what is possibly the most passionate and desperate speech in this whole novel, I think. In fact, let me just read that out for you. Let me butcher it because I recognize I'm not that great an actor, but here we go. Gods be good. Why would any man ever want to be king? Okay, maybe he wasn't so, bitchy and moany like my cat who just meowed right now. What do you want? Oh, I see. You seem to agree with Rob. Why would anyone want to be king? Yeah, I remember that chapter way back. When everyone was shouting, King in the North, King in the North, I swore to myself that I would be a good king, as honorable as my father, strong, just, loyal to my friends, and brave when I faced my enemies. Now I can't even tell one from the other. How did it all get so confused? Yeah, see, he's not happy. Lord Rickard's men fought at my side in 6 battles. His sons died for me in the Whispering Woods. Tywin Frey and Willem Lannister were my enemies, and yet now I have to kill my dead friend's father for their sakes. He looked at them all. Will the Lannisters thank me for Lord Rickard's head? Will the Freys? And Brynden Blackfish, blunt as ever, goes, no. Do you know what the Tullys are? Is it, they're Irish. There's no way the Tullys aren't Irish. No, son, said Brynden. No way. Jose. That was a beautiful speech. The desperation, the insecurity, that was beautiful. I liked it. Rob is barely 16, let's not forget, yeah? And how postmodern, the king who has lost all certainties, questions everything. And he thinks, how did my father manage to make it look so easy? Which, aside from sounding a bit like a TV commercial for like an insurance company, it of course taps into this, children's fantasy that to adults, everything is easy to execute. The right decision is always obvious to adults. Yeah, we'll do that. And it's done. And Rob might be on the verge of realizing that fantasy is just that. That age, the age of solid thinking, yes, I'll do that granitic, what do you call it? Monolithic, thinking, yeah, I'll do that. Why? Because it's the right thing. Sure, there. That age will never arrive, and uncertainties will always be part of life. He just realized that. Although, to be fair, the notion of executing Rickard should not be viewed in terms of whether it will earn him the gratitude of Freys or Lannisters. In the spirit of Ned Stark, no ifs, no buts. Rickard I give up. Rickard Karstark has committed a crime for which there's a punishment, so you know what's to be done, so do it. The man who passes the sentence also swings the sword, blah, 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 kind of like Judge Dredd, I'm the law. So that's what's to be done, and that's what he will have to do. And eventually, in fact, that's what Robb resolves to do. He puts his crown back on his head. Oh, did I forget to mention, he had temporarily taken it off. But now suddenly he's back into king mode, and he goes, Lord Rickard dies. That's all he says. Okay, little pause for reflection, if I may. Because situation is currently, Robb can't expect any gratitude from the Lannisters for lopping Rickard's head off. In fact, all he can expect is resentment from the Karstarks, because the North remembers. Which is, in this chapter, I believe, the first time in the series we hear the catchphrase. But what does it actually mean? The North remembers. That if these Northmen swear vengeance against some dude, they will pass it from generation to generation until the debt is paid? Because if that's all it means, Robb really is in no position to complain. I mean, isn't he part of the very same dynamic, same northern vengeance kind of extravaganza? Wasn't the trigger for this whole campaign he's been fighting a thirst for revenge against the crown after Joffrey arrested his father? Yeah, I mean, I get it. After that, the motivation was also bringing peace to the Riverlands, etc., etc. But I still get the impression that he's been making policies up as he goes, and the situation has been changing, from one day to the next, Then Ned was executed, and the Iron Men, and okay, all of that stuff. But yeah, and even the whole king in the north was an afterthought. I mean, that's my humble view. Dear listener, if you hold a different one, I'm prepared to be persuaded. And anyway, while we're talking about this, what was Robb's endgame once vengeance was, supposedly accomplished? And what is it now while we're at it? What is his endgame? Because does he really still think that he can keep fighting until he eventually marches to King's Landing, beat the crap out of the current royal apparatus, until Joffrey is like, all right, you got me, well done. Okay, peace treaty, where do I sign? All right, you get to keep the North, call yourself king thereof, and we'll have this uneasy alliance until further notice. Yeah, is that Robb's endgame? Peace at those terms? Northern independence and Joffrey still on the throne? Because even if he does recapture, it better be, because even if he does recapture the North from the Ironborn, Iron Men turned into Iron Man, which is kind of like his immediate goal right now, well, he'll still have to repel attacks from the king's armies. They're still, those two superpowers are still at war. Which brings me back to what lots of readers must agree with me on. Wouldn't it have made more sense to ally himself with Stannis, for Robb? Wouldn't it have made more sense for him to ally himself with Stannis right from the start? In a Game of Thrones, Catelyn 11. That's the pivotal chapter. Edmure does ask Robb that very question. So, you mean us to declare for Stannis? he says. To which Rob literally answers, I don't know. I wish I could. I prayed the gods to send me a sign as to what should be done, and the gods shockingly didn't answer. Do the gods ever answer in these books? But Rob must have known that the main accusation his father had been convicted for was because he was plotting to put Stannis on the Iron Throne. Not because he liked the guy, but because his sense of duty sort of compelled him. Having found out that Joffrey wasn't technically a legitimate heir to Robert. So why didn't it occur to Rob to go, okay, well, I'll talk to Stannis and say, look, let's pull our resources together. And now I've got these Ironborn to deal with. You deal with the... I tried to keep kicking Lannister's asses, and you deal with King's Landing, and then we'll discuss the details later. No? He should have done that. He must have known that Ned wanted to put Stannis on the throne. And so did the late John Arryn, I believe. Unless, then again, Rob believed that the whole thing to be a lie, even the part which incidentally was true, the whole accusation, Or unless B, his rationale was like, yeah, well, I'm not my father. Anyway, okay, so we can concede that a 16-year-old house leader was very confused at the time. And then in the middle of it all, it's the great John, who is an adult, a grown-ass adult who should have had more common sense. And he just went, oh, my lords, here is what I say to these two kings. And he spits on the floor. Aha. And then right before coining his most viral catchphrase, King in the North. Let's have another horn of ale. Which is, all very well and good, but still leaves the question as to who's going to sit on the Iron Throne unaddressed. And Mark Piper's rationale for not siding with Stannis was that while Renly could potentially be backed up by 6 or 7 of the greatest houses, all Stannis had is a better claim. Full stop, that's it. So how is that a reason for throwing away any chances of alliances with both kings and go solo? I mean, great idea. And all the tropes now, by the law of the tropes, I am now compelled to give you a slow clap. Well done, King in the North. That was not such a brilliant idea after all, was it? Okay. Well, we're all capable of passing judgment after we read the whole story. Well, not all of it at the time. Right now, I don't know when you, dear listener, you're listening to this. But no, The Winds of Winter hasn't yet been published, and we are told November 2023, which is, well, this year, the end of this year, but we've fallen into that trap before. We've fallen for that many times prior. It would be great, but I'm kind of like, I greet such updates with a little bit of cynicism. Skepticism, that's it. So anyway, back to the execution. Wow, that was a long, but I felt necessary intermission. Back to the execution, So the next morning, Rob sets the alarm at real early, right after dawn, I think. And it's off to the Godswood for a bit of the old chop. Everyone is gathered there, and it's still drizzling. I thought I might point out that, they got the weather for it. And all in all, it's a rather uneventful execution. I mean, aside from the fact that a man loses his head, and by the end, all living and dead end up drenched in blood. But, God, what an image. Splash! Karstark, of course, utters his famous final line, "Kill me and be cursed, you're no king of mine." Not before reminding Rob of, their respective lineage, which makes the Starks and the Karstarks distant relatives. and also reciting his long resume. You know, some people said that this is Rickard's way of sort of begging for mercy, but I don't know. They're like a last-minute pardon. I didn't read it like that. I don't... it sounded more like a way to make Rob feel guilty, like making it really feel this execution, like he was doing a wrong thing. What do you think? And incidentally, the bit where he says, "Kill me and be cursed," I guess, has to do with the fact that with Starks and Karstarks originating from the same bloodline way, way, way back, Rob should consider Rickard like his own kin, and kinslaying being a huge no-no in that universe. Well, everywhere, really. But even there, you know, Rickard's argument doesn't really hold water, because look, Robert Baratheon's granny was a Targaryen. In fact, she was Rel Targaryen, sister to none other than Aerys, which made Rhaegar Robert's second cousin. And that didn't stop Robert from slaying the shit out of Rhaegar at the Battle of the Trident. And to my knowledge, no one has ever dreamed of thinking of Robert as the kin-slaying king. Anyway, as I said, chop chop goes Rob, which certainly isn't a pleasant experience for everyone involved. And the parallel here is not so much with Rob's father, Eddard, who also had to occasionally, you know, make people a head shorter, but rather with Theon, when he had to behead the kennel master Farlan in a Clash of Kings. Although it was Sir Roderick in the HBO TV series. But in both cases, the character is inexperienced at this sort of thing, and in both cases, he had to do this reluctantly, simply because it's expected of them. And even though it's not specifically stated, it takes them three stabs, three strikes to sever the head. Nice. And even though it's not specifically stated, I just know that both characters, Theon and Rob, right after their very first execution, they both had to reach a privy ASAP to throw up, because it might be an overused, trope, but I'm sure that's what happened in George R.R. Martin's head. So that's it. Chop chop. No, that's done. Once that's all done, and once the matinee show is over, the children's the children's show. Children, yes, were expected to watch an execution. Bran was expected to watch the very first execution in the very first A Game of Thrones chapter, right after the prologue. Anyway, so once the matinee show is over, everyone disperses, and Catelyn doesn't see Rob for the whole day, which leaves her free to, take the day off, maybe go shopping and do things, and inquire about her father, actually. So the Blackfish rounds up a posse to chase after the Karstarks, without too much conviction, really, because head start. And then Catelyn goes to Maester Vyman to just cheers her up with a little bit more, just by simply telling her, look, your dad is going to kick the bucket any minute, yeah? Gee, thank you, Vyman. Okay. No, but it's funny how Vyman says, so perhaps not funny, haha, but Vyman says, look, he should simply stop fighting and yield. Which Catelyn interprets as a statement which could apply to both her father, Hoster, or her son, Rob. Interesting. And then in the evening, Jane Westerling Stark comes to see her, her daughter-in-law. Hello, Mum. May I call you Mum? Well, you may call me. You may call me what you like, Your Grace. Oh, don't call me Your Grace. That's stupid. Okay, I don't know. That's probably not how she sounds, and I'm slightly paraphrasing the dialogue here. But that's the gist. And Catelyn is like, so how can I help you? And she goes, it's about Rob. He looks so miserable, and I don't know how to cheer him up. Yeah, well, tell you what, love. He chopped a guy's head off this morning. That would usually do it, you know? Spoil a person's mood. So Jane keeps on going on about it. Yeah, I don't know why he didn't like it. Why, I don't know why he didn't do like like Lord Tywin does all the time. Whenever he has to execute someone, he usually takes care of these things like that. He sends an order and bada bing, bada boom, it's done. Like a proper mobster, you know? Yeah, okay, two things here. Yeah, and dear listener, you picked on that, huh? The Westerlings are still so fresh from their experience as Tywin's sworn men that Jane's only frame of reference as a powerful head of a house is it's Tywin having people whacked. That's interesting, huh? And she relays that fact in the present tense. Yeah, like he still does that. Yeah, I know. I don't know, as if they were still in touch somehow. That alone should make Catelyn pause. I don't know. I reflect as to whether the Westerlings have really abandoned the Lannisters. And second thing, could this possibly be foreshadowing something? Yeah, not for me to say. You know, as I always say, no spoilers from me in this series. I'll only be looking back and not forward. So yeah, no, that then Jane continues. You know, he's not even touching his food. I mean, they brought him like the yummiest boar's ribs and stewed onions and ale. Wow, I could do with a bit of that. But he just went meh. He spent all morning writing a letter and told me not to disturb him. But when the letter was done, he burned it. I'll tell you what, I seem to remember reading somewhere that readers asked George R. R. Martin at some convention or other whether that letter was important, and he said, no. It's just to give you an idea of a disturbed mind. Unless I'm getting confused, I might be getting it mixed up with thingy. Where a certain book burned by Roose Bolton in A Dance with Dragons. Please do let me know, because I tend to get a lot of things mixed up in this series. But Jane is all like, what can I do? What can I do? While Catelyn is thinking, yeah, I wish I knew, love. In fact, I might have asked my dad the same question. Because you see, Catelyn was raised by her dad. Favorite offspring, firstborn and all. And it was her father she always turned to for advice. But now Hoster is, well, he's gone. He's gone. So Jane keeps going on. Yeah, well, he may not touch his food, but he does touch me. Because if you know what I mean. In fact, I can't figure out why I'm still not pregnant. Because we try, like, every day, you know, we try in all possible combinations. Although I think that some of those combinations may not necessarily be conducive to making babies. I don't know. Okay, no, right. I got a bit carried away here. No, that's not what she says. I just slapped myself on the wrist. Naughty. No. That's not the verbatim dialogue, I'll admit. But the important bit here is that, okay, she can't figure out why she isn't getting pregnant, even though, they're trying every day. Multiple times, sometimes. B, she has wide hips, as Catelyn must have remarked like 30 times, all the while thinking to herself, yeah, she's perfectly designed for motherhood. And finally, C, that's what Catelyn is thinking, yeah? I don't know. I don't know how she looks. this Jane, so we take her word for it. And finally, C, Jane's mother keeps giving her a potion that's supposed to make her even more fertile. This is where readers are divided. Some are saying, yeah, well, Lady Sibel doesn't want her daughter to get pregnant, and the potion does the exact opposite of what it says on the label. While other readers are looking forward to the big reveal in the Winds of Winter. Yeah, Jane is with child. Hooray! New heir to Winterfell. So what do you think, dear listener? I must say the HBO TV series really went in a completely different way, different direction with this character, huh? I mean, Jane, as we know her here from the book, doesn't even exist in the TV series. She is replaced by Talisa Mager. I wrote it down. There's no way I remember that off the top of my head. Played by Una Chaplin, Geraldine Chaplin's daughter. And they made this character from Volantis. So for one thing, we know nothing about her family. I mean, we just see her mentioning her mother once, like, "Hi, yeah, I'm casually writing a letter to my mom while lying naked in bed." While Rob is all like, TV Rob is all like, "Yeah, how am I supposed to get any work done with you flashing your bum at me?" And she goes, "Yeah, well, the director said make it raunchy. So yeah, so that's, what's her name again? Major. Mage, could be a Magi, okay? Could be a reference to the actual Jane Westerling's great-grandmother, Maggie, who is a Magi. Okay, never mind. But more importantly, since the TV character, this Una Chaplin, okay, let's just call her that. This TV character in the HBO series has no dog in the fight. The fight being the war of 4 kings now, no longer 5. Since she doesn't have a dog in the race, she has no affiliation. She isn't a turncloak of any sort. In fact, she's a neutral. She's completely neutral, which is why in the TV series, think Switzerland, think Red Cross, because in the TV series, she is ideally positioned to play the role of some kind of like a nurse, a doctor, surgeon, Red Cross kind of surgeon. That's what she is. Neutral, impartial, and yes, and she does perform surgery. Oh God, I don't even want to know what surgery must be like in this universe. Anyway, so they kept this one element from Jane, that she heals people, supposedly. Do you know what that reminds me of? It's got nothing to do with this, but there was a sketch like way back about a century ago by those 2 comedians, Stuart Lee and Richard Herring, back in the days when Stuart Lee was funny. And they spoofed they spoofed Fat Cat Hollywood producers in a TV show that they had, which was called The Fist of Fun. So these 2 guys said, "Okay, yeah," these 2 Hollywood producers, "we received a script for this movie called," what was it called again? Trainspotting. Okay, Trainspotting was hot off the press at the time. So I've just revealed not only how old this show was, but how old I am. So yeah, Trainspotting. Yeah, I'm not going to do the accent. Yeah, forget. About a bunch of Scottish guys, the script, weird. One in particular is trying to beat his heroin addiction. Okay, so we bought the script, but we, as Hollywood producers, we had to change a couple of things here and there because nobody likes the Scots. That's their words, not mine. Okay, I love the Scots. Nothing but the warmest hospitality when I last was there. Anyway, so they go, "Yeah, no, we didn't want to make the protagonist Scottish. We made him American. Of course we did, and also he's not a junkie." That's depressing. No, he's a detective. And just keep on going. And he's not beating his heroin addiction. He's beating a suspect to a pulp to get him to reveal where a certain bomb is planted. Turns out it's on a train. And it'll go off if the train goes below 90 miles an hour. See, we kept the train. Which, doesn't really make an appearance in Trainspotting, the movie, does it? I mean, yeah, there's a scene set in a railway station at some point in the book as well. Yeah, where what's his name? Francis Begbie's father is introduced and then quickly forgotten about. Anyway, so my point being, boy, do I digress. The point being, the long story short, that that's what was done. That's what was done with Jane Westerling. They changed her completely. You know, why? What do you call those the guys? Weiss and Benioff, is that it? The HBO TV series creators. That's what they did with Jane Westerling. They changed her name, changed the continent she's from, got rid of all her backstory. But she still marries Rob, so see? Yeah, we kept that. There you go. Anyway, so she goes, yeah, no, I promise you, ma'am, we'll have babies, for sure. You will just, we'll just go right back to Rob and bang, bang, bang. Yeah. Picture this. And she does the gesture as well, I suppose. No, she goes, yeah, I'll soon have babies, pinky promise, and we will name them Eddard, Brandon, and I was thinking, don't say that, girl, don't say that. You'll jinx it. I mean, didn't Sansa say the very same thing? Didn't say she would name her sons from Willas Tyrell Eddard and Brandon and Rickon? And we know how that marriage is going to end now that Tywin has hatched the dastardly plan of marrying Sansa to Tyrion. Evil. So yeah, no, that's not, I think it brings bad luck. Not to mention that Brandon and Rickard didn't exactly end well to begin with. Dude, okay, so now, anyway, that's how the chapter ends, with the rain that starts to fall again. Yeah, expect a lot of rain in these parts, Riverlands, Crossing, etc. For the rest of this book. Lots of rain. Throughout, I see, Storm of Swords, it mixes metallurgy with meteorology. Yeah, storms and swords and clever. Dear listener, if you have made it this far, I don't know what to say. Thank you for your patience and your interest. Obviously, there must have been a bit of both. So if you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to do the things that people do under such circumstances, or not. Either way, I wish you all the best, and I'll see you again soon. Can hardly wait. Bye.